Right, it's been labelled an excessive and potentially lethal arrest tactic, and an investigation has found it was taught for 3 years despite being unapproved. Police bosses only became aware of this technique when it was used on Parliament protesters back in 2022. The following footage captured one of these arrests. Take a look.
The Parliament occupation 3 years ago saw protesters violently clashing with an outnumbered police force. One officer's method of arrest caused controversy. Sergeant Yancey Hawkins was filmed holding his body weight on a 17-year-old Alexander Lawrence's head in what's described as a press-up position. A Herald investigation has uncovered that the potentially deadly and unapproved technique was taught to police cadets for a period of 3 years under the radar. I interviewed lawyer Tuda Clare, who represented 3 protesters, including Alexander Lawrence, in their claims against the police in the High Court.
How did you find out that the press-up manoeuvre was never approved in the first place?
That came as a surprise to us during the discovery process of the case. And it was frankly astonishing that it wasn't just one person who was saying it was never approved. It was the entire chain of command of the police over a period of a year, accepting that no one had ever approved this manoeuvre. They knew that it wasn't approved, but it was still being taught and trained through the police college for even a year after it was seen at the protest.
Following investigations, police say they have reinstated quality control at the police college by reforming the Training Assurance Quality Board.
Those images of Alex having the press-up manoeuvre on his head, that attracted a lot of attention during the protest, didn't it?
That image was published in every major news organisation in New Zealand. There were even people with placards the next day with pictures of him having a press-up done on his head. And yet, astonishingly, there wasn't a single email or phone call or message in the entire New Zealand police organisation for another 14 months saying we have a problem with this. And that email only came about once we'd actually sued them.
And it's pretty concerning to hear that it's being taught to cadets as well, that it's not just one rogue police officer doing something he shouldn't be, that it was it had filtered down the lines to police training.
The police's chosen forensic expert had stated that this was a fatal manoeuvre, and in fact, Alex could have been killed even in the period of time that press-up was being done on his head, and yet it was being trained without any understanding or knowledge of exactly how this manoeuvre should be being done. So it's incredibly concerning, and what also concerns us is that there was no actual use of force report done about this arrest and the press-up on the head, which means that if it wasn't done in the most public forum that it was here, the question is how many other times was this manoeuvre done? And it's never even been written down or reported.
Joining me this morning for reaction, Sam Keats, the Police College Director. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
So obviously some pretty shocking stuff there, and the footage is pretty shocking too. How many people taught this manoeuvre?
I can't speak to how many people taught this manoeuvre, but all of our recruits that come through here are trained in a wide range of risk assessment, defensive tactics and control and restraint. We know that the policing environment is highly dynamic. We know that occasionally the tactics and the techniques that we train them in need to be adapted or modified for that environment when the trained tactics can't be deployed. So our trainers at the time saw there was a alternative technique to be trained, an alternative manoeuvre for when those trained techniques can't be deployed.
Right, and was that a bad idea?
Look, I think it was well intended, but at the time we didn't have the proper, oversight of what was going on. But for now, and this is my 9th week in the role, my priority here is ensuring that we have got the appropriate logical and robust oversight of all of our curriculum. Our Training Assurance and Quality Board has been put in place. We've also now got the National Training Governance Group that oversees that to ensure that the curriculum that we are reviewing and training now is up to standard, and the future curriculum continues to meet the high standards that the public can expect.
What is your understanding then of how many recruits were taught this manoeuvre?
I don't have that available to me right now, Ryan, but I can get that for you.
How do you not know? Because it was 15 months after the protests at Parliament that this was stopped. There was a directive to stop you teaching this manoeuvre. How do you not know yet how many were taught it?
That's just not a number that I've put together, Ryan. We would be able to go backwards and be able to calculate that and find out. I am confident, though, that all of those people, since going out onto the front line, they would have received each year between 3 to 7 days of frontline safety training with refreshed curriculum, with better direction, which will ensure that tactic, that technique is no longer being deployed out in the districts.
Okay. Are you aware of anyone that was injured as a result of that tactic being used?
I don't have that available to me right now, Ryan. I'm sorry.
It doesn't seem like you know much about it, given it was apparently taught so widely, happened for years, happened even after it was raised on social media and other places and through the courts. You don't seem to know a hell of a lot about it, Sam.
Look, when we deploy tactical options, we complete a tactical options report. And that reporting allows us to understand how often those techniques are being deployed. And if we need to make any changes to that, then we do from there, because it's reviewed at a number of different levels, and it becomes back into our curriculum to make adjustments for it. As far as I'm aware, we haven't had reporting through to identify that as a tactical technique that needs to be modified. But it's not one that we teach anymore. We take responsibility for that. I acknowledge that's not something we should have done. And we've got some better processes in place now.
All right, so those processes presumably include this tactic not being used. Are there any other tactics you've identified in the process of this that you're also reviewing?
Our defensive tactics manual is always, and all of the suite of defensive tactics that we deploy are always being reviewed. Just last week, the refreshed manual went through our Training Assurance and Quality Board, and we'll be going on to our National Training Governance Group. We're always reviewing the training that we deliver to make sure that it meets international and local best standard, as well as adapting to the IPCA and court recommendations as they come through.
All right, we'll leave it there, Sam. Thank you very much for that. Sam Keats, the Police College Director with us. It is 21 minutes after 7 and you're watching Herald Now.